Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you coming back as always. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. We say the same thing every week. We appreciate you listening. Want to thank Adam Chubbuck with TACMD.com, Team Alpha Charlie at Douglas Realty in Pasadena, Maryland. Go to TACMD, TACMD.com. Contact Adam if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, if you're looking for a real estate investment property, anything to do with real estate. Adam is the person to talk to. He'll be very honest with you as to whether you should be entering the market right now or not, depending on your personal circumstances. The fact is you're going to get good advice. Go to TACMD.com and talk to Adam. So, topic of this one's going to be Harrison Butker, because one, he's got a fun name.
Yeah.
And two, depending on which side of the political aisle you were on, he either stuck his foot in his mouth or he just gave some sage advice.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on whether you actually listen to what he said. And our listeners, of course, being of the more intelligent type, I'm sure that you have. Otherwise, you're probably not listening to this highbrow type of show that we produce here.
Only the best.
But the section that's drawing the most heat for Mr. Butker, it reads like this: "For the ladies present today, congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. You should be proud of all that you have achieved to this point in your young lives. I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now about to cross the stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world." So that's kind of the beginning of what everyone has been freaking out over, at least in some aspects of it. He continues, "I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother. I'm on the stage today and able to be the man I am because I have a wife who leans into her vocation. I'm beyond blessed with the many talents God has given me, but it cannot be overstated that all of my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker." So I think a lot of people, well, first of all, anytime anyone says something that can be construed as anti-whatever, the anti-whatever crowd gets all fired up. So I think a lot of what the heat that he's feeling, and from what it seems, Harrison Butker has pretty much said, I don't give a shit, this is my religion. And for those of you who don't know, he's a devout Catholic. And this speech was made at Benedictine College, which is a school that is pretty much that's who it's aimed at. It's not Notre Dame. It's a school that's who the primary, customer, for lack of a better term, is.
Right. Keep that in mind.
Go ahead. As so when you're thinking about it, think that, again, it's easy to take anything and add your own context or remove context, or just, take little snippets and pieces of it and destroy someone based upon that, or go after someone, whatever the adjective or verb you want to use, go after it based upon how the little snippet you've taken and molded and kind of removed it from the entire body of the speech or the body of the work to use it to crucify someone.
Mm-hmm.
He goes on, she's the primary educator of our children. She is the one who ensures I never let football or my business become a distraction from that of a husband and father. She is the person that knows me best at my core. And it is through our marriage that, Lord willing, we will both attain salvation. I say all of this to you because I have seen it firsthand, how much happier someone can be when they disregard the outside noise and move closer and closer to God's will in their life. Isabel's dream of having a career might not have come true, but if you asked her today if she has any regrets on her decision, she would laugh out loud without hesitation and say, heck no. So, of course, he didn't swear either. So, couldn't say hell no.
Correct.
But in reading those, I think I did 4 paragraphs.
Yep.
I don't really see anything too diabolical or evil there. I know that my wife, the most joy she had is when she stayed home with our kids. And, if it wasn't for my oldest going to private school, she would still be home with our kids. And that, for me, as the father and husband and the primary wage earner for the household, was a huge weight off my shoulders, knowing that my boys were at home with their mom where they belonged. And it's not to say that that's her only place, but that was a place where she'd tell you today that she felt the most fulfilled, was being a mom with her kids. I don't think that might not be the same for every woman, but I know for my wife, that's what I guarantee you right now. If I got some huge promotion and was making twice the money, she'd quit her job and go right back to being home with the boys.
Yeah. And so I actually had this conversation with my wife, and she was up in arms about it. Like, oh my God, how could he? And I told her, I said, one, the context and the location of where the speech was given matters. Okay. I am not a Catholic person. Not a very religious person in general. I did go to a Franciscan Catholic college, though. Now it was a liberal arts school, but it was started and run in the Franciscan Catholic faith. So if I go to that college and at the commencement speech is overtly Catholic, I'm not the one who can be upset, because I went to that school knowing exactly what the foundation of it was.
It's not like they sprung it on you.
No. I am the outsider there. So for me to go there, I have to be okay with that coming at me. In any regard. I mean, I had to take 2 semesters of fucking religion class, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. But I went to that college because that's where I wanted to get my education. I can't then go and complain about the message, the Catholic message they're sending to me.
Yeah.
I signed up for it. Mm-hmm. Just like all the women that went to that school and sat at the commencement speech, they signed up for that.
Yep.
Knowing that that's what that devout Catholic college believed.
Yeah.
And they happen to have a commencement speaker who believed the same thing and said it out loud.
Yeah.
You can't not that, granted, you can think the speech is abhorrent, but there are people in this world who believe in those values. Now, the other part of this is, and we talked about this with boys, when we were young, toys were G.I. Joes, Mask, Star Wars.
Yep.
These are like very masculine boys, violence.
All armed.
Right. And like He-Man had huge muscles and weird haircut, but huge muscles.
Fucking swole though.
Absolutely jacked. Every G.I. Joe was jacked. There was no Klinger from MASH. Although there probably was a doll for him, but secondary, right?
Yeah.
Everything else was swole dudes in tight shirts or Ken Ken was a svelte dude, not necessarily jacked, but he was good looking with the blonde hair.
I mean, Ken had like a quarterback build.
Sure. But then boys, and I don't know if this was, some people say, well, they were being more raised by women. They became more feminized. They weren't told it was okay to be boys. Whatever it is, right? Well, girls...
Oh, they're drugged so they don't behave like boys.
But then you've got the girl side of it, where from the 80s on, 80s and 90s, it was all about being a girl boss and being that entrepreneur or being that person in the workforce and climbing that ladder, breaking the glass ceiling, be the CEO. Which, yes, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But in that mix, the option to become a homemaker or a traditional type of wife was demonized.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, maybe that's a little hyperbolic. Demonized, but the women that went to the workforce looked down on the women that stayed home. And you would see that a little bit in the interactions of women probably closer, like, I want to say the 90s and 2000s. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like when guys would meet up, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm an engineer, I'm a police officer, I work for the government, or I work at NASA, whatever it is, right? And the woman would be like, oh, well, I work at AT&T. What do you do? Oh, I stay home with the kids. I'm a homemaker. Well, the lady who went to go work for AT&T they would look down on the homemaker, be like, oh, you don't do anything?
Yeah, and I can tell you because I have stayed home when my boys were little. Babies in diapers and, little youngest two in diapers and oldest one, running around being a knucklehead. Staying home with them was a lot harder than going to work. And I told my wife, because she went away for a while, and I was never the dad that like, oh, you mean your husband has the kids? Like, no, I got them. They're my kids. Right. Perfectly capable and competent to deal with them. However, I still to this day say that if the she stayed home because I made more money. It made more sense for me and I have a better benefits and all that other stuff. So it was a no-brainer. But had the shoe been on the other foot and she made more money and had better benefits, I would have gotten a job to break even on daycare and gas. Because staying home with the kids is no joke.
Right.
You have to bring it every day. Like, they have this image of the homemaker sitting around eating bonbons, and she was the CEO of the house, and her most senior employee was me, an idiot. So, like, that's you're still, it's not like you get to stay home and watch talk shows all day and drink wine with your girlfriends. Like, it was always something going on. So, she was getting up the same time I was. So, it wasn't like she was sleeping in and chilling.
Right. My wife hit me with this. She goes, well, then you don't think girls should be educated and go to college? I was like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
I think college is a waste of money for just about everyone. So, yes.
But that's a different conversation, right? I'm saying,
with a big asterisk.
Right. I'm saying, do you know how many people go to college, get a degree that they never fucking use?
Yeah, I have one that I never use.
Right. I am not in the field that I got my degree in. So what's wrong with these girls going to college, getting an education and whatever they want, but rather than going to the corporate field, they stay home and they decide to enrich their own family?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they go and start a career with the idea that they're just going to leave and go back home when she has kids. What is wrong with that plan? Now, I'm not saying that's the plan I would want or choose or that I want my wife to do. I'm not saying that. I don't think my wife would be happy in that. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, this isn't for me. This is not what I would have chosen. I don't know if I would choose. But at the same time, I'm saying, what if my daughters want to choose that?
Yeah.
I'm not going to look down on them.
If I had a daughter and she aspired to just stay home with the kids, I wouldn't say, to me, I'd be like, given the choice between going and working in some cubicle, typing into a stupid computer that I don't give two shits about for a job that hates me, for a job that I hate, or staying home with my children who love me and need me, I'm taking the kid. Like that doesn't really. Now, I did say earlier that it's hard, and it is.
Yeah.
And that I pick a job that broke even on daycare. That's of course a joke. Give me the kids. That's the return on the investment. The shitty corporation that you work for doesn't give two shits about you, and when you're, and you're alone, shitting your pants because you're old and can't do anything about it, your kids are going to be the ones that come. Freaking ABC Corporation that doesn't give a fuck about you, who's been bought and sold 10 times since then, is not coming to help you. In fact, they've probably terminated all your benefits, screwed you out of whatever pension you had, all these other things that they've done to you. So I don't see the bad part about investing in your family. To me, that's the biggest investment. That's the reason my wife went back to work, was to invest in our oldest son, because he needed to go to a private school that's specially made for kids like him.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that women that go into the workforce and their kids are in daycare, I'm not saying that they're not enriching their family. Like, that's not what we're saying. Butker was basically, in my opinion, Butker was basically saying, by telling girls they were sold a lie, basically, was that girls only really heard the one option, especially most recently.
Yeah.
Unless they grew up in a certain kind of environment, the homemaker role is looked down upon by the women in the workforce. They don't believe it. It would be kind of like, they almost look at it now as if how men would look at a guy who stayed home.
Yeah.
It would almost, oh, okay. It's almost like the role, like men and women in the workforce look at the person who stays home, regardless of whether it's a man or a woman, the same way.
Yeah.
It's almost with derision. And when I was talking, like I said, I talked to my wife about it, and she goes, I don't think that about women that stay home. I said, you might not, but you're not everybody.
Yeah.
There are plenty of women out there who go to work, and the kids are at daycare, and the husbands work, and that's just the way a lot of people do that. It's how a lot of people make ends meet. What he was saying is, there's nothing wrong with that. But you weren't given the whole picture, ladies. You weren't given what the other option was.
Yeah.
And now maybe those girls were, because again, setting matters. They were at a devout Catholic college, so they might have come from devout Catholic homes. So maybe they got that message.
If you were to bet, are the girls at Columbia receiving that message, or the girls at Benedictine receiving that message? You're going to bet. I don't care where you fall on this issue. If you have any sort of gambling sense, which I really don't, I'm putting all my money on Benedictine.
Right.
I'm not even hedging it.
Yep.
I'm putting everything on that, because that's the very obvious. The Vegas odds makers are like, they're not even putting that up as a bet.
Right. But the funny part of this is, of course, it comes down political lines.
Yeah.
Most people on the left think he's a fucking misogynist and a whatever ist you want to. They even try to say he was anti-Semitic, and I read through that speech. I didn't see one thing against Jewish people, other than the fact he was touting his own religion.
Right. Which is okay for every other religion, but this one.
He shouldn't have to say, I'm a devout Catholic. By the way, the Jews are okay too. So are the Muslims.
Right.
And then go on with the speech. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he said, I'm a devout Catholic and fuck the Jews.
Right.
He didn't say that.
Like, I'm a Catholic, and by me saying I'm a Catholic and I support the Catholics, it doesn't mean fuck them. It's like the whole thing with the sea turtles. Like, if I say save the sea turtles, it doesn't mean fuck all the other sea creatures.
Kill the whales. Right. Well, you're not for whales? Yeah. Okay. You're an animal.
I'm just more for the sea turtles, because they're cool.
This is something I've chosen to be passionate about.
Right. For whatever reason, sea turtles have struck a thing with me, and Lionfish have not.
Correct.
Or whatever other kelp, if you're a vegan, whatever the hell it is.
Listen, a sea turtle tickled your balls one day.
Yeah.
And the clownfish did not.
Right.
So therefore, you're team sea turtle.
Right. But I'm not going around and trying to kill the clownfish.
No.
Or even saying fuck the clownfish. I'm just...
Right. You're saying you're team sea turtle.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to be team sea turtle.
Yeah, but everything is that we're dealing with. Every issue comes down to the zero sum calculation. Black and it's this or that, but there have been some surprising people that came out in support of Harrison Butker. One of which being Whoopi Goldberg of all people, who had one of the most reasonable takes there is. Like pretty much like, yeah, I don't agree with him, but let him say what he wants to say. Like right. out of who said this? Like I was like what's you gonna pull her face? I'll be like, ha ha, silly kids.
Right. Do you want to talk more about The View for a minute? About what Sonny Hostin said?
What did that?
Do you want to go into the WNBA stuff?
Or
do we have more for this? Other than we think. Look,
this is the other point that I have.
All right.
So let's take Harrison Butker, the Catholic, and change his name to Hassan al-Baghdadi, okay?
Yeah.
The Muslim.
Yeah.
And he says the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody cares, right? And why don't they care? Is it...
It's Muslim culture.
Yeah.
Isn't that how Muslims live?
Right. Like, that's okay. And they're going to go and, there'll be some protest or something like that for him, even though there's a whole sections of people that are protesting for that would not be tolerated in those regions of the world at all.
Right.
However, that would be okay. So why is it bad that the devout Catholic guy, who's known that this is who he is,
right,
at the Benedictine College commencement, knowing everything you know about Benedictine College and probably the people that go to that school, the values they hold, why is it bad here?
Yeah, it didn't... The outrage, it was almost like they needed to manufacture some outrage.
Yeah, it's like there was a shortage of outrage.
And like there was, oh my God. And the weird... I give more credit to his teammates that kind of stood up for him. Mm-hmm. One of which wasn't Travis Kelce, by the way. The more that guy talks, the more he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And he should have gone... look, we talk into a microphone, and we probably shouldn't either, but he really shouldn't talk into a microphone. But his teammates, and even Andy Reid kind of... they didn't take his side. They just said, hey, that's the one good thing about being in the locker room. There's so many different points of view. And nobody... And on something like this, where it's a matter of opinion... He's right to have his opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think he's right or wrong because it's his opinion. It's how he lives his life. Mm-hmm. And it was, but everyone else was like, yeah, how dare he, right? Yeah. Even the NFL kind of like their public statement kind of shied away from him. Mm-hmm. It's like, no one have like any balls to stand up to anyone? They're like, oh, way to push away your female audience.
Yeah.
I hate to tell them something. There's a lot of females in this country that kind of lean in that direction. They lean to the right politically. Mm-hmm. It's like they say, women who are pro-choice. They think all women are pro-choice. I would garner to say half of the women in this country are not pro-choice.
Yeah.
And, statistics back that up with the way they vote. Mm-hmm. Right? So, it amazes me that, again, the people that are claim they're for the free speech and the diversity and all this other stuff. The minute someone says something that they don't like, it's like a full court press of an attack.
Yeah.
And since we're going to talk about full court press, I just want to touch on a little bit of this WNBA thing. And for people that don't know, the WNBA basically has been around for 27 years. And if you haven't...
Is it that long?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If you haven't heard Bill Burr's rant on the WNBA, just type in Bill Burr WNBA, and you will laugh your ass off.
Yeah.
It's also true, though, what he's saying. The ratings have been abysmal for years. The TV ratings have been abysmal. Good luck trying to find a game on TV. And then this past year, actually, it kind of started last year, too. Caitlin Clark, who just happens to be a white girl who played at Iowa. This past year, she ended up breaking the NCAA scoring record. She was dazzling people who watched because her range was anywhere inside the gym. Like, she could shoot from half court and make it, right? It was something different. It wasn't a girl trying to dunk and look awkward. And it was a girl who literally was just shooting out of the gym.
Yeah.
She was going more Steph Curry and less Shaq, right? It was something different from UConn winning a championship. It was, and for
even though UConn eventually did, but
right, and to a lesser extent, but now South Carolina with Dawn Staley down there, and I guess but so, and the other thing with the name, image, and likeness that came through the NCAA, this girl Caitlin Clark was able to build a fan base. She had endorsements. She was on the TV, separate from the games. She was building a fan base in this way, and some of the other girls were too, like Angel Reese and some. But those were the two names. And the reason why those were the two names is because 2 years ago in the semifinals, Angel Reese did the You Can't See Me to Caitlin Clark. And to be honest, I mean, Caitlin Clark did that same shit in the game before. So, look, do I think anything less of Angel Reese? No, I don't.
No.
She's actually from Baltimore, by the way, which is right up the road. Not that I really have any association with Baltimore. Couldn't be further from me. I am not hood. Let's just put it that way. If there was a hood pass, I don't have it. But so then come the draft this year, WNBA draft. Most watched WNBA draft ever. Millions of people actually watched it. Caitlin Clark was number 1 to Indiana. Indiana's a horrible team, by the way, but she's now there.
Yeah, most number 1 picks go to horrible teams.
Yes, that's just the way it
kind of how it's designed.
Yep. The WNBA decides to televise her first preseason game. They don't televise Angel Reese's preseason game. The Chicago Sky was a much better team, apparently. And there's a whole debate, and of course there are pundits and race hustlers like Jamel Hill, who I can't fucking stand that lady, and some of the other people that are like, they make their money by screaming racism all the time. And she's saying, "Oh my God, it's because Jamel Hill was like, it's basically because she's white and because she's straight that she's got all these fans, and the fans are watching now." Because
Angel Reese isn't gay, is she?
No,
not that it matters.
No, but yeah, right. But but here's the thing. So they throw in the straight thing, because if you just say white, then you come back with, okay, well, Sue Bird was in the league for years. Diana Taurasi was in the league for years. Too Tall Jones, I can't remember her name, but she's been in the league for years, and she was supposedly one of the best. Yeah. I mean, going back to the original league, you had Rebecca Lobo alongside Lisa Leslie, Lisa Leslie's not white, by the way. Yeah. But basically, you can't just say because she's white, because there were white ladies that came in before her, right? So now you got to say, well, she's white and straight. And that's what she's basically bringing in the white straight homophobes to watch the games now.
But did anyone watch the game
before?
No. No one watched it before. Did anyone watch this game?
Yes. Okay. So they broke. Basically, the NBA this year is breaking attendance records across the board. By the way, not just in Indiana, across the board. The television viewership is going through the roof. The preseason game that they didn't even air, someone basically live streamed it on YouTube, and it got 2 million views. So now there seems to be an appetite for the league to watch it, right? And all the people that were like apparently OG WNBA fans, which were probably 3 of them,
Right.
are hemming and hawing at new fans. Well, the league was getting greater revenue already, and it just blew up now. Or, the league had great players before, and Caitlin Clark isn't going to be all of that now, and like they harken back to like the Diana Taurasi thing where she said like, oh, she's going to notice the difference when it's Pro Bowl. Or something like that, but and she kind of said like, "Look, pro ball is different from college ball," and that got blown out of proportion too. But the fact remains that she brought a lot of eyeballs to the WNBA. But of course, Jamel Hill, what do? Well, what about Angel Reese? What about Camila Cardozo? Mm-hmm. Nobody would have heard of them if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. I'm sorry. The only reason why people know Angel Reese's name is because she did the "You Can't See Me" to her face. Yeah. To Caitlin Clark's face. Mm-hmm. Not to anybody else. In fact, if you ask someone what the championship game was from last year, not this year, last year, they would say it was LSU Iowa.
Right, and it wasn't.
It wasn't. It was a semifinal game. Because people were watching Iowa.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, and never mind the fact, it's like, it sounds like these people would rather have the league go into its 28th year with nobody watching rather than it be this girl that brought the eyeballs.
Yeah. Well, there are some, so when you've been a fan of something for a while, when it wasn't doing well or sucked or whatever you want to use, there are times when you see the new Johnny-come-latelys come in. Well, you weren't here when it sucked. Mm-hmm. So I'm a diehard Washington Capitals fan, and part of me resents the bro rock the red guys that all came in after Alex Ovechkin came in. The team started getting good, and when they won their Stanley Cup, I was like, all these people are cheering, "Yay, let's go Caps!" I'm like, none of you motherfuckers were here during the dark days of the Blurple uniforms, during the first round eliminations by Pittsburgh every single season. None of you are here. I was here. I'm the real fan. You're not. Mm-hmm. So I get that part of it. However, is it better for the Washington Capitals as an organization and for the sport of hockey in the region that all these new fans have come in? 100% yes. Mm-hmm. Now, can I still go to a game for $12? No. So, in a way, economically, it's worse for me because the cheapest seat in the house is like $65. But in keeping the longevity and the fan base of the organization going for a long period, so my kids can like it, so their kids can, then to me, it's worth it. And I welcome all these new people, but there's still part of that old curmudgeon inside of me that's like, you people weren't here when we sucked, so fuck you.
Yeah, and there's definitely part of that, right? Like you want, and I can see that with a team, but for a whole league,
yeah,
it's like,
I guess maybe like say, was it PLL, the Professional Lacrosse League? Say that blows up,
sure,
right? Like,
well, the MLL already did,
yeah,
and the National Lacrosse League already did,
yeah. But say one of those leagues blows up,
yeah.
But I think more people probably, if you were to ask the casual fan who won any of the championships for those professional leagues, right, or who won the NCAA Division I championship, they're going to know the college champions. They're not going to know anything about the pro leagues.
Right. Oh, when you said blow up, I thought you meant like dissolve.
I don't know. I meant blow up like good.
So, I mean, if you asked like National Women's Soccer League, the NWSL, if you asked those ladies if their own popularity had to take a back seat to one particular player, but the league became a viable entity, mm-hmm, so that it was there for the long term, and that their own salaries would go up because the television deals would increase, the attendance would increase, the merchandise sales would increase, which this has all happened in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's jersey sold out.
Yeah.
No other WNBA jersey was selling out.
Did anyone ever own any?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Think about this. These ladies now get chartered planes rather than flying commercial.
Yeah.
And some are like, well, some of the teams already got them already. Okay, great. Now more of them are going to get it. You were bitching and moaning that the number one pick in the draft only got $76,000 as a salary. And guess what? Off the field, off the court, she's making like $7 million a year. So she doesn't have to go to Russia like your girl Brittany Griner, who went to Russia and got nabbed for fucking marijuana.
Yeah.
And you bitched that, well, she had to go to Europe to play because she can't make a living in the United States. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, for some of you, it just happens to be the white knight. Mm-hmm. You know, what was it? Not the white knight. What do they call it in boxing? Great White Hope. Mm-hmm. Your Great White Hope is here. I'm sorry she's white. I'm sorry she's fucking straight. But guess what? In this world, certain people want to watch something.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because she's straight and white. All I know is they're watching. And all you should care about is they're watching. I'm sorry it wasn't Asia Wilson. I'm sorry it wasn't Cheryl Swoops. I'm sorry it wasn't Lisa Leslie that brought the eyeballs. I'm sorry it wasn't any of them. I'm sorry it wasn't Angel Reese.
Yeah.
But guess what? It wasn't Sue Bird. It wasn't Diana Taurasi. It wasn't Rebecca Lobo. It wasn't the other Rebecca, Too Tall Jones, whoever her name is. I don't care. It wasn't her either. This girl brought the fan base. This is the girl that's going to raise your salary so you don't have to go play in fucking Europe and get thrown in the gulag like Brittany Griner fucking did.
Yeah. And the
Be happy about that.
Right. And the whole thing is, there's always like, you have this, people want to see and watch what looks like them. Okay, well, if there's a whole bunch of people that weren't paying attention to your league prior, but now there's this girl who they would want their daughters to, who reminds them of their own kids, like, hey, my daughter could be her, and they expose their kids to this league because of her. I don't see that as a bad thing, maybe people feel like they can relate more to Caitlin Clark than they can to Angel Reese. I like Angel Reese. In fact, just as purely scumbag dude, I'd probably like to put my eyeballs on Angel Reese more so than Caitlin Clark. Just saying, that's just where it's at.
You notice they never say, well, Angel Reese is straight.
Right.
Nobody mentions that, right?
Right.
It's just Caitlin Clark is white and straight.
Yeah.
No mention that Angel Reese is black and straight.
Right.
Like, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And she's posting thirst traps on fucking Instagram.
No problems with that either. No objections.
But you don't think that brought some eyeballs to the WNBA too?
Well, yeah.
Right. So, but what I'm saying, like, Caitlin Clark is probably a big reason. But some of these other girls, and that girl that plays for LA, I can't remember her name. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also has an Instagram account with followers.
So it's when you mention this, a lot of the NIL stuff, the people that are making the big money on it, I mean, of course, your big basketball, football players at the big schools, SEC, Big Ten, those top tier athletes on the men's side are making money.
I know where you're going with this.
But the girls, one of which, Livy Dunn,
she's the highest paid college athlete.
Have you seen her Instagram? Mm-hmm. There's a reason for this. And, you'd have to be an idiot to not know why. I'm not going to say why. And if you can't figure it out, go look at her Instagram.
Right. And the people that complain about that, though, then they've got a problem with society as a whole.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are probably going to complain about toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. But, okay. And this is going to be bluntly honest. Since the beginning of marketing, who has been the focal point of marketing?
18 to 35-year-old dudes.
But who do they put in the ads?
Oh, yeah. Oh, chicks, attractive ones.
But you want to know why? Because it's not only dudes that find girls good looking.
Yeah.
Women find girls good looking.
Yeah.
Women buy things with women in the ads.
Mm-hmm.
Men buy things with women in the ads.
Yeah.
Or men buy things for women with women in the ads.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how this works. It's worked that way since the 50s. With the girls smoking the cigarettes. That's how they sold cigarettes.
Yeah.
You sold femininity, you sold masculinity. There was the Marlboro man, and there was the lady, probably in something skimpy for the 50s, smoking a Marlboro too.
Yeah.
Or a Newport, or something like that.
Virginia Slim, whatever it was.
And that's how they sold that shit.
Yeah.
Guess what? For as much as people have tried to deprogram women into being women and men from being men, they're still men and they're still women.
Yeah, and you can't deprogram something that's just like that encoded into, because in the end, we're biological beings that are looking to reproduce. So I'm like, I like looking at that. So there's something that draws your attention to it. But yeah, I just find it, Livy Dunn and these other female athletes, gymnasts, swimmers, soccer players, they'll post some stuff about them kicking a ball around, but then there's always like thrown into their feed, this is me in vacation wearing next to nothing. And what post gets the most likes and hits?
Yeah, well, and then they've also got the next post, which is for
dance skin or
Coke,
whatever. Yeah.
But not that they would drink Coke, but or Truly.
Yeah.
And they can't do that either. She's not old enough.
Activia.
Fuji water. There we go. Something hipster that people would drink. Fuji water.
Yeah.
And they sell the shit out of Fuji water, though. Mm-hmm. Or Smart water. Or whatever fucking water.
Yeah.
Or,
Celsius.
Yeah, sure. Anything. Because it's someone who's easy on the eyes holding your product.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why David Beckham sells a whole lot of shit and his wife Victoria Beckham sells a whole lot of shit. They're both easy on the eyes. I'm sorry. The horse-faced people weren't going to take over.
I am not in ads selling shit.
Correct.
You'd be like, because no one wants to be like this guy.
That's why we don't put our face on a video.
Because no one would listen to this show then.
You know what I mean? Like, you play to your strengths.
Yeah.
And my strength is not the old moneymaker face.
Right. It's talking shit.
Yeah. And so, but I find it funny though that between Harrison Butker or Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, people are always going to try and find a wedge topic there.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is white and straight. Angel Reese is just this poor black girl, even though she's not poor at all anymore.
Right.
It's like, how dare people not watch the WNBA before? Because they missed 20 fucking layups a game.
Yeah. I don't watch basketball generally.
Right.
So I watched the game. So my father-in-law was in town. He loves basketball. He's from Boston. The Celtics were playing. I'm not sure where we're going to be when this show airs, but they just swept Indiana, of all teams. Mm-hmm. So we watched that. And it was a good game. Boston was behind the game before we watched that one, then we watched the other one. I don't really have a dog in the fight with in NBA basketball because I don't really care about it. So my father-in-law was there. He's cheering for Boston. Of course, my son, because his grandfather's there, he's cheering for Boston. So you know what? Hey, I'm a Boston Celtics fan.
Right.
So we're cheering for Boston. And they won. It was cool. But if I'm not watching NBA basketball, chances are I'm also not watching WNBA basketball. Now, I'm a huge hockey fan, as we know. I watched NHL playoffs. Rangers doing really well, so you should be happy about that. But
I get a twinkle in my eye.
Yeah, so
I can't complain.
Maybe 1994 won't become a chant. In any case, 1940 was one of the best chants ever. So no matter how good they were, you always yell 1940 and shut it all down.
Right.
And then they had to go and win. But so being as big of a hockey fan as I am, I don't watch the PWHL. Like if I'm gonna spend 3 hours or however long an NHL game is, 2 hours, something like that, sitting on my couch watching a game, I'm watching an NHL game.
Right.
You know, I'm also not watching a men's NCAA game versus an NHL game. You know, I'm just not. I'm going to watch the best product there is. So, and it doesn't mean I don't like the women playing,
right,
or I wish them any ill will. But if I'm going to invest a certain amount of time, free time, the rare amount of free time that I have watching a game, it's going to be the best possible game there could be.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up kind of an old argument, in that the WNBA needs to stop trying to be the NBA. If I want to watch the NBA, I'm going to watch the NBA.
Yeah,
because they're bigger, stronger, faster.
Yeah, and that's a great thing. Don't be the girl version of the NBA.
Correct.
Be your own thing.
Right.
And in fact, there are a lot of people that might say that the WNBA game, especially the women's college game, is the more pure version of the sport.
It's the more it's the old style finesse game of basketball.
Yeah,
the passes are crisp, and they need to, and in my opinion, the 5'6" point guard needs to stop trying to go in and do a layup against the 6'5", 6'7" power forward.
Yeah,
because the same fucking thing happens every time. The ball either gets blocked and it looks like fucking Shaq swatting Spud Webb. Yeah. or the person ends up just getting creamed and just falling flat on the floor, and it looks like an ambulance needs to come out. Stop doing that shit.
Yeah.
Fucking pass it around, take your 3-point shots. Pass it around, take the open shot. I hate to say it, but you almost want to go back to the 1950s, like Bob Cousy style basketball, where the crisp passes, the open shots. You got to work to get your open shot, right? Stop trying to be the WNBA, or stop trying to be the NBA. We got one of those.
Yeah.
And that's the same almost with like every women's sport. I mean, the reason why the WTA is probably more popular than the men's tennis association. They carved their own niche. I mean, granted, there was probably a little. I mean, Monica Seles with her.
It has probably to do with the outfits.
Yeah, it didn't hurt. But at some point, the women just became more entertaining to watch. Never mind the fact the matches went quicker.
Yeah.
Because they weren't playing 5 sets, they played 3.
Mm-hmm.
And, every time you mention to change the game or some kind of dimension of the women's game, the women get all pissed off at you. Well, why should we lower the rim? Or why should we bring the 3-point line in? Why should we can play this game. Okay, I'm not saying you can't play the game, but there's already a pro league that looks like this.
Yeah.
And they're bigger, stronger, faster.
Mm-hmm.
Play the game to where it looks like something else that people want to watch. I mean, I'll go back to lacrosse. There's men's and women's lacrosse. They look nothing alike.
No.
Other than the field dimensions maybe, but even like the lines in the field aren't exactly the same.
Right.
And the penalties aren't the same.
The goals are the same size.
That's about it. I mean, the goalies wear about the same equipment.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the sticks aren't the same.
There's no women long poles.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I think that's better because it opens the game up more.
Yeah.
It allows for more running. It's more it's more free.
And there's no big hits.
No.
Like my oldest played lacrosse for the first time this year, and before that, the sports he played were soccer, basketball, and baseball. Contact sports, maybe, but like not collision sports like lacrosse. And he got laid out. He's like, "Dad, what happened?" I said, and of course my youngest is like, I want to kill people. Like, okay, so
I'm surprised your middle one isn't like, I'm ready to go.
I've told him, like, dude, you have D-man written all over you, like, or face-off guy, but he's tall.
Most of the face-off guys are ex-wrestlers. You find them once you kind of get into college, into high school.
Yeah, the dedicated face-off guy.
I'm telling you, dude, any good lacrosse coach will literally just go into the wrestling room during the wintertime.
Yep.
And he'll go to the wrestling coach and say, which one of your guys isn't that great?
Right.
Who's got time for a second sport? Because, the top wrestler kids, like, they're wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's their thing. That's their jam. He's going in, who's one of your good grapplers who's got good leverage? And he goes, that kid. And goes over there. Kid, I got a sport for you.
Yeah.
And the kid's going to be a superstar in his one specialized position, and he's going to win 60% of his face-off, and he's going to get a college scholarship out of it.
It's like the long snapper.
Yeah, pretty much.
But and in the women's game, do they start their face-off standing up? Don't they?
They do. It's so the ball is placed between the two sticks,
Like the backs of the back of the stick.
back of the stick,
Yeah.
and they have to fling it up.
Yeah.
And there's a way to do it to try and get it to angle it to your team.
Put a spin on it. Yeah.
It's wild. Like when I played in college, like a couple of girls like try to show me like how to do it. I was like, dude, I can't fucking.
Well, I can't even. I played in high school. I can't even play with a women's stick.
No, I can't catch with it.
Right, like I was like, it's
I need
like
a pocket.
It's like trying to play with a tennis racket.
Yeah,
it's like what the hell? Because
and they're catching it, and like they must have the softest hands.
Yeah,
because it's like it just glides in there.
Right, and if nothing else, this is illustrative of the fact that it's harder to play lacrosse with a women's stick. If you were to add the collisions, the hitting that's in the men's game, no one could hold on to that ball. No. The reason these kids hold on to the ball in the men's game is because the pocket's deeper. It's a different sport. You could do different things like I'm sure you could do it too. You take your lacrosse stick and just fling it around, and then the pocket's upside down, but the ball stays in the pocket. You're not doing that with the girl's stick.
Right.
It's coming right. It's falling right out. So,
but in the same kind of breath, it's like, okay, so women's lacrosse is different from men's lacrosse. So if you're watching women's lacrosse, you're not expecting men's lacrosse. I'm expecting a women's lacrosse game, and it's kind of like baseball, softball.
Yeah.
I'm not watching softball expecting baseball.
Yep.
I'm watching softball because I like to watch softball.
Yeah. In fact, this time of year is great because there's
That's awesome.
the women's the NCAA softball championship, the softball World Series, and it's fun. There's because the girls are so fast that the same hit to the third baseman in a baseball game, it's an out. But these girls are so fast, they're that's like, oh, she might get there, and sometimes she does.
I mean, I'm biased because I got two girls that play softball, but I literally buy the ESPN Plus and SEC Network Plus, so I can watch the college. I watch from like the regionals.
Yeah.
But you have like the thing that sucks is, and they do this with a lot of women's sports, like they make them hard to watch, like hard to find. Mm-hmm. So I gotta get the DirecTV Now login because they have the SEC Network Plus, or they have the SEC Network. Then I gotta have ESPN Plus, so I gotta have DirecTV Now plus ESPN Plus, and then I can watch SEC Network Plus on the ESPN app because SEC Network is run by ESPN. But I have to buy both of those in order for me to watch all of the college softball because the SEC is big into softball.
Yeah.
ESPN Network or ESPN has all the other conferences though. Mm-hmm. So if you get those two, you can then watch all the softball games, including like all the like. I watched my alma mater play, and they played I think St. Joseph's or something like that in one of the early regionals. That was cool shit. I mean, yeah. I went to a small school, so I got to see my school play in the softball World Series, college World Series. That's awesome. But for me, like I literally have to buy a special package of things, and I had to figure out the combination so that I could watch it.
Yeah.
Like I tried buying like a month of like Sling in the ESPN, but or Sling and ESPN Plus, so I could watch it on the app. But Sling didn't have the SEC Network, so I couldn't watch the SEC Network Plus. It didn't work together, right? So they just make it difficult.
Yeah.
But again, though, if I go to watch softball, it doesn't mean I can't go and watch or enjoy baseball.
Yeah.
Two different sports.
Yeah.
Right? So why are you trying to make the WNBA the same as the NBA?
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Right. Just
create your own niche.
Yeah. Make it its own thing and let people appreciate these athletes for what they're able to do. Mm-hmm. And for what they do. And it's I think you get into the thing like, oh, well, Caitlin Clark could play in the NBA. No, she couldn't.
No.
Like,
She'd be the first to admit it, too.
Yeah. It's the thing. Oh, well, any of the girls in the PWHL, they could play in the NHL. No, they couldn't. Or they would be. There was one girl that played an NHL game. She was a goalie, and it was a publicity stunt.
Whoa, hold on. Manon Rhéaume.
Yeah, that was a publicity stunt.
You think?
100%.
She was a goaltender for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks,
It was the Tampa Bay Lightning.
And
yeah.
I don't know, man. I thought the whole purpose was, I think they were purposely saying it wasn't the publicity stunt. Like, she actually went through the minors, and
it was a preseason game.
This was a long time ago, by the way.
This was back in the early 90s. So we're talking 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a preseason game. She played a period.
Okay.
I think. She had some saves. Maybe in that NHL. But in today's NHL, where goalies have gotten so big, it's not happening.
I hate what they've done to goalies.
Yeah. However, being a big person and having played goal, and I used to be that old school traditionalist, like, oh, they all look the same, they play the same style. And then I really started looking at it, I was like, had someone taught me that style back when I played, it would have been a game changer. So back in the day, very rarely did you find goalies over 6 feet tall.
Yeah. They're all short, stocky guys.
Yeah. Now I think Vasilevsky's 6'5". Ben Bishop was 6'7". Like, they're huge. There's that dude that played the Russian guy for the Flyers that was like, I think it was between that and basketball.
Right.
So,
I remember the defenseman, Zdeno Chara. He was what?
Oh, I think he was 6'7".
6'7". Yeah. Man. Can you imagine trying to skate at 6'7", though?
He was good. He figured it out.
I'll tell you what, man. Anyone who's that tall and can skate, props to you. Like, your center of gravity is much higher.
Yeah.
Like, try not falling, right?
That's like Bambi on ice.
Yeah. That's why the short, squatty guys were always like, they were always your speedsters, because their center of gravity was so low, and you could hip check them, and they wouldn't go down because their center of gravity is already down there.
Mm-hmm.
They just slide along.
Yeah.
It's like, you asshole.
So the one thing we did not do is rate this Forrester 100.
So that was the one from last week.
Depending on how we release these. So it could be.
True. As most people know, we do record 2 at a time. So I'm so conflicted with it. Because I really want to like it. This is going... Old Forester was like my jam.
Yeah.
And dude, I got to try one more. I got to try it one more time. I'll try one more sip. Ugh. I'll swish it around. Swish it around a little bit. What are you ranking it?
So it definitely has some more heat to it. I think the increase. Are you doing it neat?
Yep. I think I have to. In
order you have to
evaluate it properly.
Right.
I gotta swish it around a little bit. I gotta let it breathe.
Yeah.
They say. And I am drinking it out of a plastic cup, so, we are what we are. Is there something in the cup right now?
That's your cup.
Yikes. All right. Maybe I'm just seeing things. My eyes suck, by the way. I'm wearing glasses. I can't see anything near when I wear these things. Now, don't get me wrong. This has been the same prescription for 5 years.
Maybe you bifocals.
I do. I was going to say something, but you want to know? I'm at the realization where I fucking need bifocals. I'm at 40. I'm going to.
That's the only thing on my body is my eyes. I'm still good there. Everything else is broken down and sucks. But you have no visual. But when you're at the bar and you've been drinking all night and someone buys you a shot and you drink it anyway, that's the face that Alex just made.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I should have done that. I'm puking later. Yeah. He's not, because I think he's had 2.
Yeah. I will not be in puke mode. I have ice on me right now. A little hot.
It's like he burned himself. So Alex is not drinking 100 proof neat anymore.
Here's the thing, though. I think if I were to... I just transitioned from ice to neat, so there's going to be a transition period. I do think I need to drink a lot of these. When I do the trial sip, I got to try them neat.
Yeah.
I'm losing whatever flavor there is, because... So, I've had 4 sips of it. 2 were on ice, 2 were not. The 2 on ice, I got a weird taste out of it. The one neat after the ice, still got the weird taste. Mm-hmm. I got less of the weird taste this time. It is pungent, though. Like, as it sat in my mouth, like most times, like I'll put it in my mouth, I'll let it sit there on the tongue. Yep. Right? I want to taste it. It is sweet. I will give it that. I hate to say it, but I can taste the banana, which I like. I like banana, so it's not a bad taste. It's just that there was something else in there, and like I don't want to say like rubber, but like something else. And I guess some people call it leathery.
So I don't. So I bought 2 that I thought I hated. I revisited them, and those had leather. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't have polished off the one bottle 2 nights ago, because my father-in-law stayed up drinking bourbon, but I should have saved it, because to me that was, when people say leathery, like it was like drinking a baseball glove.
Yeah.
Like that was the leather feel I got from it. So, but it wasn't terrible. Like it worked out well. The first time I tried it, I was like, oh, this is awful. And the other one, I thought was awful too, but I revisited that, and I was like, oh, that was the Rebel 100 I had.
Yeah.
I think it depends a lot on, what did you eat before? What have you been doing that day? What kind of mood you're in? Like, and that when I came back to it, I was like, oh, it's actually kind of good. So different. And I've been drinking sweet bourbons for a while. So
I'm conflicted on how I should be trying. Like, I feel like I need to try them neat. This one, the Old Forester 100, I got more of the flavor on this last kind of sip neat, but it definitely has like kind of like a pungent something that went to my eyes, mm-hmm. that made my eyes water. Like it had some heat to it, not going down, like not swallowing it. Heat.
Yeah,
just hot on the tongue. Like a little burn on the tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Not completely unpleasant. I just don't think I was ready for it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think if I was going to drink casually, like if I was going to drink normally, I would always drink it on ice. So that's why I usually try them on ice, because I don't think I'm ever going to try them neat.
Yeah.
Like if just casual drinking, I'm not going to try them neat. So I do think I need to try them neat first, and then I can put the ice cubes in it and try it that way. From now on, I think that's what I got to do.
Yeah,
I need to change this up to give it a fair assessment, especially on flavor wise.
Yeah,
like flavor wise, you get so much more flavor out of it when you drink that neat, 100%. Because when I drank it after it had been in ice for 30 minutes, it didn't taste nearly
right
what it does now. It's just harder for me to drink it that way. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. I'm a girly man, and that way I need to.
Hey, you like it how you like it.
That's true.
I mean, as long as you're not mixing it with Coke, and then saying, "Oh, it tastes like bourbon and Coke," like that.
I mean, if I'm going to do a mixed drink, I'm going to do a mixed drink. If I'm going to drink, a lot of times though, if I'm going to do a mixed drink, I can put almost any bourbon in a mixed drink. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't
know if I mix bourbon with orange juice or citrusy stuff.
We were talking about it before. The one I would probably use as a mixer the most is the Angel's Envy, because it doesn't taste like anything.
Right. Yeah.
It just has no taste.
But then you put it in a cocktail like your old fashioned, which is more of a, not to sound douchey, but a spirit forward cocktail. You still want to have good bourbon and something like that.
I guess.
If you mix it with ginger ale, like, if you're doing a bourbon mule,
yeah,
that's kind of, whatever you got. Like, it's, ancient oak, okay, that's what's going in there. Or ancient age, whatever the hell that $11 bottle I bought and left here for weeks was. So,
I got that old Benchmark number 8. You throw that in a jack. That would be my Coke mixer.
Yeah.
Because the Coke can overpower it anyway. If I was going to make that, the one with the Di Serono, ginger ale, maraschino cherries, and bourbon, I'm using the Angel's Envy again. Because
But some of those, like, I'd rather drink the Benchmark neat and then mix, like, the tin cup, or where's that other crap we got from Conor McGregor's thing?
The Proper 12? Oh,
yeah.
Dude, that and the tin cup are not drinkable. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put that in a mixed drink. Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Like, at least the Benchmark is cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that the tin cup was expensive. The Proper 12 wasn't expensive either, but the Benchmark was $17 for a handle. Mm-hmm. I would rather put that in a mixer than either one of those two that tasted like absolute asshole.
Yeah.
Whoever was putting that together was like, how can I make this taste like shit? Ooh, peat moss? Sure, let me throw that in there. Essence of asshole? Sure.
Did you say you wanted more peat moss?
Ass bunnies?
Yeah. Musty taint?
Right. I could literally take some, I can wipe my ass and take the little toilet paper bunnies that are left in my ass.
Oh, dingleberries.
Yeah, dingleberries. There we go.
Or Klingons.
I swear to God.
Depending on how you want to.
My vocabulary or my thought skills have gone way down.
Dude, I'm forgetting all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Like all the fun stuff that I used to know, like all of my useless knowledge, some of it's just going, like dingleberries, I would have picked that 2-3 years ago. That's right on the tip of the tongue.
Yeah, you're not saying, what are those things called that cling on your ass? I'm like, Klingons?
Right.
Dingleberries?
Right. This is getting old thing. If this is what's going to go next year, can I just get the... blank me out. Let's go.
Get the Neuralink.
Oh, Jesus. We should do a show on that.
Yeah.
Because that scares the fuck out of me, too.
Well...
What could be coming? Not what they're doing now. Like, they're helping people walk right now. It's in the nice phase. This isn't the we're going to turn you into a bionic warrior phase yet.
Well, what happened with I'm sure Skynet started out like that too.
Right. This shit's going to be it's going to be the movies that we've already seen.
Yeah.
And we're literally going to be the fucking people that die in those movies. The robots are just going done.
Yeah.
You're all done.
And in my head, I like to think that I'm the old guy with, like, the gray beard that kills everyone. No, I'm the old guy that, like, breaks his hip and gets stepped on by the freaking AI-powered walker.
I'm going to be the guy that's in his basement until they come get me and kill me. I just won't come out of the basement. I'll buy my prepper, like, 20-gallon jug of food that'll last me, like, 6 months, and then I'm just done.
You'd be like, bro... I'm kind of hungry, though, so it lasts 3 months.
Right. I'll poke my head out and get shot right away. Well, it was nice knowing you. I had a good run. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode.
This show turned.
Toward the end. Probably the best part of the show was the last 3 minutes of it. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll do an actual episode on the aliens and the robots coming to kill us.
Yeah.
Go to TACMD.com. I feel like I've screwed him twice in the last 2 episodes. I forgot what I talked about last time, and then I should transition to go see Adam Chubbuck at techmd.com for all your real estate needs, as I'm talking about dingleberries and being shot by aliens and robots that are coming to kill us. techmd.com for all your real estate needs. Go talk to Adam, seriously, though. If you need some help with your real estate, buying and or selling, Adam will give you the best service possible. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.